For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
A 4-game homestand continues tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights. Second time in just a few days that the Utah Mammoth are seeing their rivals from across state lines. Mike Fulta and Adrian Denny here with you on Mammoth Daily. We have our Monday morning power play coming up in just a little bit. We are your radio broadcast crew. Been saying hi to folks at the top of Section 7 over the last couple nights. Thank you to everybody who has stopped by and said hi. But AD, Utah gets a big win on Saturday night against the New York Rangers to right the ship a little bit and to snap what had been a losing streak. Now Utah, after playing a hard-fought game, has some good mojo, considering that there were some harsh words issued after the last time Utah played their opponent tonight, Vegas, back on Thursday.
You know, Mike, how I kind of see this, I see this as game 2 of a playoff series where you lost the first game and you went into the first game thinking, okay, we're ready. We're going to do this. Let's go take it to them. We've got the home ice advantage. And the game just goes south. And you kind of have to look at everything, like what went wrong. And now you've had 4 days to come back to reset for game 2 of a playoff series with a good day of practice, a good game against the Rangers. And it's a measuring stick to the measuring stick that we had on Thursday that I don't think we expected to have. But that's how I kind of see this. I think we've all gone into playoff series and kind of got slapped in the face in game 1s before, and you got to come out and reset the deck. And I think it's a great opportunity for Utah to see the Golden Knights 5 days later. So what looked like a schedule quirk, I think is something that's being completely embraced right now by the Mammoth, especially after that game that they had on Saturday night at Delta Center against the Rangers, where they started to feel good about their process, how they won that game, and how everybody was involved.
And that's life, right? How do you respond? It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep getting up. I don't know what the quote was. That was my best Sylvester Stallone, but you get the picture. Utah got outscored 4-0 in that game on Thursday, and Vegas looked every bit of the contender that we expect them to be in the Western Conference, and Utah looked every bit of a young and up-and-coming team that doesn't know how to win. But as you said, you lose that first game of a playoff series. If you come into game 2 of a playoff series, Adrian, and if you win that game, then you're headed home with momentum, and then you're heading into the next 2 game set feeling a lot better about yourself, and you're saying, okay, we took 1 of 2 to start things out. We are fine. Now, if you're the road team, you're saying that's fine. If you're the home team, different story. But if you win that second game, you're showing, okay, we took our lumps in the first game. We maybe weren't ready to play. We weren't ready for the intensity that the Vegas Golden Knights were bringing to us in that first game. And now we understand that. We make adjustments. I said this in our Monday morning after, Adrian, that we published on YouTube, but the fact that the leadership group's message after the Vegas game, the fact that that message resonated and landed with Utah, and you saw that buy-in against New York on Saturday night, that says a lot about this group. Because as I said in the Monday morning or Mike's morning after, you only get so many of those every year. And if you come down with hard messaging like that, and if it doesn't land, then you're in a whole different world of hurt.
And I think we could all see it Friday when we walked into practice, right? We talked about it on Saturday night, but we kind of all walked into practice on Friday, little down still from the game on Thursday. And I'm sure the team did and the coaches did. But by the time we watched that practice and went in and talked to Bear, and you could see how Bear felt and how pleased Bear was with the response and with hitting that reset button and going back to work. And you know, as I completely digested that game on Thursday night, my end thought was, okay, this is good. That shows they care. They emotionally unraveled, but it shows that they care. And as you said, that can only happen once a year in terms of resetting the deck. You can only unravel once a year. But I think in that case, I could see it turning into a positive. We felt that Friday and saw it in the game on Saturday. And the way the Mammoth played on Saturday, they played a really good Rangers team. So we talked about their underlying numbers, top 5 in the NHL in a lot of things, including defensively. But how Utah scored their goal against the Rangers to start things off, you had JJ Peterka right out in front in that blue paint. You had Clayton Keller going hard to the net after Barrett Hayton laid down a hit. Yamamoto kept the puck in, went to the net. Puck got away, but Keller was right there to push it home. Yeah. And then there was traffic in front of the net. You had Carcone, not Carcone, but Yamamoto, Cooley, and Gunther right out there net front when DeSimone blasted home that game winner. That's what Utah was talking about when they said we want to play hard, right? It wasn't we're not playing hard, but we want to play hard like that. Bodies in front. That's how you score goals, and especially against teams like Vegas where you really, really have to work at it. But New York was a big test because New York is pretty similar defensively to the range to the Golden Knights and how hard they are to play against.
Should I get out my meat and potatoes again?
Oh, Les, yes. You're having it again. That sounds wonderful. It's like
it's an everyday.
You know, I think all of us could have meat and potatoes, hamburgers and French fries, pizza every night. Nothing wrong with doing it. 3 straight podcasts.
Easy now, easy. We're celebrating Thanksgiving as a broadcasting team, and those are not going to be French fries. This is going to be a nice mashed potato recipe that I will whip up myself. But and you said really good. I'll say pretty good Rangers team. They didn't have JT Miller. They didn't have their best forward or second best forward in the game, but they did have Jonathan Quick, who was kicking to start the year. Was pretty good in that game against Utah, and they do have one of the best defensive teams so far under Mike Sullivan to start the year, and Vegas, like you said, very much the same. What I think is going to be one of the challenges for Utah is not just to play hard like they did on Saturday night, but to ingrain that into our players, especially our forwards, where that has to be how we play every night. Because I think you have a lot of these guys who coming up are scorers. They're offensive wizards. It's Dylan Gunther and Logan Cooley and Keller and Schmaltz and these guys who have all the skill in the world. But you look at a Vegas team that has a couple guys like that, but maybe not as much skill throughout its top 3 lines as Utah does. But it has guys who, to their core, go to the net and play that hard playoff style that you heard Ian Cole and Andre Tourney yearning for after the last time Utah played Vegas, like the Brett Howdens, the Keegan Colasars, the, Cole Reinhardts. Reinhardt had a hit that changed the game. Utah unraveled after that hit on Kevin Stenlund. They took a penalty and they couldn't regain composure, whereas Vegas was composed the whole time. But Vegas has guys that aren't as skilled as those Utah players I mentioned, but in their identity, to their core, they are going to the net. That is the type of player they are, where that's the type of style you have to play in the playoffs and in these playoff style games, and in these meaningful games. So I think making sure that Utah understands that that's how we have to play every night, that's one of the challenges, along with just getting the process going in the first place.
Yeah, so you got Vegas again. You did what you wanted to do against the Rangers. If there was ever a night to put the midnight rule into effect, it was Saturday night and maybe noon on Sunday, since the Mammoth didn't practice yesterday. But midnight rule in effect, right, Mike? Any team can put out a game plan and go execute it, right? But good teams do it every night, right? And it's a feel-good game. You like what you did, and now it's, okay, go out and do that. And hearing from JJ Peterka after the game on Saturday night, he exemplified in his answers exactly what Utah did to have success, being simple, going to the net, and having bodies in front. So they know what they did. They gave the the answers to us, and now it's just a matter of going out and doing it again in a second game against Vegas, and I think they're going to be excited for it. And sometimes you go into a building, Mike, and it's a building that's raucous, it's crazy, and it's kind of easy to lose, your emotional restraint because everything's so kind of crazy around you. If a team has a good home ice advantage, maybe Delta Center, for instance, is an opponent. But the second time you go in there, you're like, okay, we kind of let things get away there, and we know why. So playing Vegas, it's a heavy team. Haven't maybe played a team like that this year that was aggravating the Mammoth in the way they play heavy and the way they get in your face and frustrate you, and the way they work hard in front of their net and keep you from being able to get there, and the way they grind out goals. So I think I love the opportunity for a take two here, and love the matchup. Wouldn't want it to be any other team.
Let's take a look at Vegas. I know we just saw them the other day, but Golden Knights had gone through a little bit of a 500 stretch, but now you look at them and they have points in 6 straight games so far. A couple overtime losses. They lost in overtime the other night against the Anaheim Ducks, but top 10 offensively and defensively across the board. And even though they have those 7 overtime losses, I think what should stand out is they only have 4 regulation losses so far. That to me is the most telling number. And I said this the last time we played Vegas. I don't think a lot of people have been talking about Vegas as much to start this year as one of like the elite top dogs in the NHL, but it's hard not to think that after what we saw on Thursday. And when you also pop the hood on their analytics, and we love our analytics and our good friends over at Sport Logic, when you pop the hood on the analytics, they're pretty elite in almost every category over there as well.
Yeah, Vegas on Saturday night in Anaheim, Mike. It was another game with momentum swings like we saw on Thursday at Delta Center. Vegas scored twice in the first 5 minutes of the first period, but then the Ducks came back and had 2 goals in 34 seconds, less than 10 minutes into that first period, and it was 2-2. Vegas took a 3-2 lead with 2 minutes left to go in that first period. Anaheim tied it. It went to overtime, and be prepared, Mike, for an overtime game with Vegas if you're going to beat them, because 7 of their 11 losses have come in overtime. But again, looking at how they matched up with Anaheim, there was momentum swings, but Anaheim got them back in some momentum situations.
Second in expected goals, second in expected goals against, third in high danger chances offensively, third in high danger chances against defensively. So they are elite on both sides of the puck. And again, they don't have one of their best players up front, Mark Stone, still out due to injury. But that Braden Bowman kid was pretty impressive Thursday. I thought, Adrian, it's not easy to play on a line with Jack Eichel and stay on that line. But Bowman set up Eichel with a great assist. I believe that was at the end of the second period. And he has been a nice addition, getting called up from AHL Henderson. That's Pavel Dorofeev, if you're watching on YouTube on the video screen. He leads the team with 11 goals this year. But Vegas is a lot more than just Marner and Eichel up front.
No, they're impressive, and Braden Bowman now has 5 points in 6 games, so another guy to watch out for. He got another big goal on Saturday in Anaheim, but they're just a team that's so solid in their identity and what they want to do and the way that they want to come out and play. And I think predictable is the word of what we've said that we want the Mammoth to do, and that's being simple, be in the same spot every time. And I think Vegas might be the definition of that in the NHL. And it takes a lot to beat them. So be prepared to go the distance on Monday, because that's what it's taken.
Should be a fun one tonight as Utah looks for revenge against the Golden Knights, game 3 of a 4-game homestand. Let's get to our Monday morning power play. Adrian Denny and I take a look at our top 5 storylines, snapping it around the ozone on the PP. Monday morning power play up next, right here on Mammoth Daily.
And now, time for the Monday Morning Power Play.
Kicking off your work week with our Monday morning power play, Adrian, Denny, and I snapping it tape to tape, our 5 biggest storylines to watch out for moving ahead for the Utah Mammoth, who will be at home here tonight against Vegas. Then they will have Montreal, and then it's a 6-game road trip starting on Black Friday. But Adrian, I'll let you start up top. We win the face-off, and it's Denny at the point.
Yep, over on that far point, looking to swing it cross ice. And Mike, I'm going to say it's not just a second chance against Vegas tonight, but Utah has a lot of second chances coming up in the next 10 days. They see Montreal on Wednesday. That might be the second most frustrating game that Utah has had this season that took place at the Bell Center, second to last game of that last 4-game road trip. Then you got Anaheim and San Jose coming up to start next week. It's going to go in reverse order, though. A week from tonight in San Jose, a week from Wednesday in Anaheim. 2 games Utah lost in overtime, and I think the frustration from not getting 2 points in each of those games kind of carried into that Vegas series, and I think Utah will mention it. So in the NHL, it's so competitive. It's hard to beat a team 2 times in a row, right? In a season series, especially in close proximity with the games. And Utah is going to look to prove that right here with 4 second chances in the next 10 days.
All right. Opportunities for revenge. And you start picking off those teams, Adrian, and then the narrative starts to flip compared to where it was all doom and gloom during that 11-game stretch where Utah lost 9 of 11, but you beat those teams on the swing around, and now you're cooking and you're where you need to be. My first, as we go down to the half wall, Sean Durzi's return. We don't know exactly when it's going to be. We're recording this on Sunday. We have seen him at practice, at the practice facility at the shops at Southtown and Sandy. He has been in a full contact jersey. He's been out there on the ice working extra after practice. And it seems as if Utah could get one of their top defensemen back sooner than later. Would not be surprised if we see him tonight against Vegas. He got hurt in the 2nd game of the season, another shoulder injury. He had shoulder issues last year that knocked him out for about half the year after he was injured in the 4th game of the season a year ago. Last year, he had 11 points in 30 games. His analytics numbers were pretty solid. If you look at Corsi, kind of a way of determining who's controlling the play when they're on the ice. His Corsi numbers were pretty good, maybe because there wasn't as much pressure on him to be the number 1 like he was in Arizona, and now he's able to slot into more of a number 2 role with Mikhail Sergachev taking the heavy minutes. The eye test last year would tell you, Adrian, that he did struggle or maybe take a little bit of time to find his footing when he came back from injury in February.
I think it was him coming back ready to start the season, and everybody else was in mid-season form. And I think that was the biggest adjustment for him. And then he gets a game and a half this year, so he's back. Everybody's been playing for 2 months, but I'm excited to see Sean back, and he's just such a ray of sunshine, right? He's just another popular guy in that locker room, and when he's on the ice, when he's on the bench, there's a lot of skill and there's a lot of positive energy coming from that number 50 car, as you say.
Yeah, he is he is a favorite in the room, no doubt. He was actually on Utah's last trip out to San Jose and Anaheim. It was the mom's trip, so you want to make sure you get everybody out there and let Mrs. Durzi come on the trip and be part of the group. But still, I did think it said a little something that Sean was on that trip, trying to get him around the guys so that kind of eases him back into the flow of things, back into the swing of things, as they say. The other point that you have to wonder about if Durzi does come back in the lineup soon, who comes out? Nick DeSimone had been promoted to Utah's top pair, playing alongside Mikhail Sergachev. He has scored a couple goals this year, looked pretty solid. We've seen Dmitry Simashev look pretty good for most of this year. He was healthy scratched as a way just to kind of reset a couple games back. But Utah is going to have 8 defensemen that can play at the NHL level with Ole Mata in the mix as well once Durzi comes back from injury. But I'll send it down to the goal line to you, AD.
Okay, let's go to number 3. And speaking of goals, how about JJ Peterka, Mike? 5 goals in the last 6 games, 6 points in the last 6 games. And our good friend Brogan Houston from the Deseret News asked him a great question after the game on Saturday night. He's like, what's going well for you right now? And, JJ's a modest guy and gave a nice answer about getting some bounces and, getting to the net. But I'll tell you the real answer to that, Mike. JJ Peterka is a natural goal scorer, and he's got the speed, he's got the skill, he's got the shot, and that's why he's scoring goals, because that's what he does. He scores, and Utah's seen him get some big goals. That game he tied up at 2 against Buffalo to start the last homestand. The 2 goals he scored in the third period against San Jose to force the game to overtime, and the way that JJ was able to get that first one, just kind of take the edge off a little bit on Saturday night for Hockey Fights Cancer. He's gotten some big goals. He's up to 9. He's 1 behind Nick Schmaltz for the team lead, but that's what you love to see, JJ scoring goals, because it's what he does. He's a goal scorer.
Yeah, he's pretty good at the hardest thing to do in the NHL, which is score goals. And there are people out there that might critique his defensive side of the puck, and I think there's some room to grow there, certainly for JJ. But you heard head coach Andre Tourigny say after Saturday's game that JJ was really good in his battles against New York in all 3 periods in that win, and that makes that line that much better. He's playing with Lawson Krause, and Lawson Krause has been one of Utah's most consistent forwards throughout the season. So it's been fun to watch that group produce, and it's been fun to watch JJ, who has 5 goals in his last 6 games. Is that it on JJ? You want to snap it to the bumper here?
Take it there.
I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and my second storyline, our 4th of our Monday morning power play, is stealing points against the West. 8 of Utah's next 9 games are coming against Western Conference teams. Of course, 6 of those games are going to be on a 6-game road trip starting on Black Friday in Dallas. 11 of Utah's 17 games from now until Christmas are Western Conference games. Utah woke up on Sunday morning with 4 teams that are all within a game of that last Western Conference wild card playoff spot. Now, the West is not as tight as the East is from top to bottom, but we're starting to get to that year where a middle crust is emerging in the conference standings. And it is too early to obsess over the conference standings, but these points matter, especially against conference opponents, not just divisional opponents. We talk about all the importance of games in the Central Division, but you have to think of that in a conference aspect as well, too, because Utah could very well be competing for those wild card spots, which are obviously open to Pacific teams as well. You think of Calgary last year and Vancouver, 2 teams that were jockeying with Utah down the final months of the season to try and take that last wild card spot that was eventually won by St. Louis. But those were 2 teams that Utah was neck and neck with throughout the year. I mentioned that road trip coming up. It's a 6-game road trip in 9 days, mind you. It is going to be an action-packed jaunt around the western part of the of North America. Not going to be easy, but I think if Utah can get at least 7 out of 12 points on that trip, AD, I think that is the benchmark. That way you win 3 games, so to speak, and then you lose one of those in extra time and get the loser point. I think 7 out of 12 is a good goal to shoot for.
Would love 7 out of 12. In fact, Mike, Sunday on my morning run, I'm coming down through the Cottonwood Trail, and I'm digesting this trip and what it is, and Dallas, St. Louis, San Jose, Anaheim, and then Vancouver and Calgary. And I'm thinking, I will take 6 and cash out. Be 100% happy if Utah is able to go on that trip. Mind you, what want to finish this 4-game homestand with a couple victories, right?
Yep.
With some success, with some results. But as we speak right now, going out on this trip, taking 6 of 12, split on the road, I'll take it. You know you're going to get a better effort from St. Louis. Dallas is always tough. The California teams are always really sneaky, and then going up into Canada, Canucks and Calgary, they're always tough at home. I'll take 6 out of 12, and at that point, Mike, Utah has pushed through a 4-game road trip in October, a 4-game road trip in November, and a 6-game road trip that pushes into December. The light is at the end of the tunnel in terms of the gauntlet for the first 3 months of the schedule for the Mammoth. So would we say 6-7 for the points for this?
As my old coach in the ECHL, Jeff Pyle, used to say, it's either the light at the end of the tunnel or it's a train coming to run us over.
Oh, I love the quotes you give from old Pyler from those days in Atlanta. Could do a whole show on it. We should.
Well, I have a whole like notes app list of Jeff Pyle quotes. Let me go and see if I can read one before we get to our last one, Adrian. Let me see if I can find one here. I'm kind of stalling. This is terrible podcasting. Gosh. So Jeff Pyle grew up in Minnesota, but played at Northern Michigan, where and that was in the era, that was like the late 70s. So did not go to the U. And he, or so the story goes, because he went to Northern Michigan University, where the N stands for knowledge, as he would say, the Herb Brooks at the University of Minnesota did not add him to the U.S. Olympic team in 1980. Of course, that's the Miracle on Ice team, even though Jeff Pyle was like the best collegiate player at the time, or one of the best. If you look at his numbers, and he was elite. Went on to set records. Was get this, was an all-star as a forward and a defenseman in the same year in the IHL once. Or it was like he was like a second team all-star as a forward, but a first team all-star as a defenseman, or something of that nature. But he could obviously play both ways. I can't find the notes app, or I can't find the list on my phone, so we'll have to do that different time. But
that's
you got
all right.
some Jeff Pyle lore out of that.
Yeah, loved it. Folks know that they got to come back now to get
that's how we
those
get them
quotes.
to come back. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, let me just give you one. This is just from a random road trip. No, I'm going to do more than one. Random road trip. Jeff Pyle, front seat of the bus. Nice little camping trip we got here. I feel like the Griswolds. Anytime the bus was a little too hot. Hey, Stan. That's the bus driver. Hey, Stan. Can we take a log off the fire? This is about a head coach who was a little overweight. I'm not going to say the coach's name. Maybe you can guess.
I've already guessed.
Okay.
Already guessed. Family friend.
Oh, okay. This is a coach who's a little overweight. Pyle used to say, whenever you see him, it's always up close. All right, that's enough. All right, let's wrap up the power play here. The PK just stole the puck and like had 3 shots on goal during our power play.
But the top unit's coming out for the final 17 seconds. So Here's the draw. Hey, Mike, as we get to our NHL story here on number 5, there was a really fun story in The Athletic over the weekend on trades NHL teams would like to have back. And it lists all 32 trades and a team that they would like to undo. And for Utah, there wasn't a trade listed because they've only been around for a year and a half, and Bill Armstrong's a genius. So nothing that Utah wanted to undo. But there were a couple of Utah players listed in this article. And the
thought you were
first
going to say broadcasters.
The first one being Tampa Bay and Mikhail Sergachev, and how they parted ways with them for salary cap reasons. Never wanted to do so. Got 2 good players back in JJ Moser and Connor Geekie, but it says that it really helped to have his skill with Victor Hedman in the top 4, considering some of the two-way shortcomings of the defensive group. So traded a number 1 defensive star to Utah. And the good folks at The Athletic, who always come up with great content, we reference it a lot, saying that Tampa Bay would like to have that trade back. And then another one, Mike, you got to go back a couple years, but Pittsburgh trading away Ian Cole in 2018.
Is that for Robert Bortuzzo?
That was not the Bortuzzo trade.
Okay.
Because I saw the name and I thought, oh, are we talking Bortuzzo for Cole here? But it wasn't. Penguins made a trade for a third line center, get Derek Brassard. It was a role that never quite worked out for them, and they haven't won a Stanley Cup since.
2 Utah defensemen right there that have both won multiple Stanley Cups. 6 Stanley Cups on Utah's blue line, 2 for Sergachev, 2 for Cole, 2 for Olli Mata. That is very interesting. Was the Cole for Bortuzzo 1-for-1?
I don't think it was back in St. Louis. Let's try and
now it's your turn to stall while we look this up.
Yeah, let's see if my internet's better than your internet.
This is where we need AI here.
I think it was a 1-for-1. March 2nd, 2015, traded to St. Louis in exchange for Ian Cole. Draft pick involved. Robert Bortuzzo and a 7th rounder for Ian Cole.
Okay.
St. Louis to Pittsburgh.
How'd you look that up so fast? It's remarkable.
No, my internet, which the constraints that it has, is working well right now. So
yeah, that's outstanding. That's outstanding. They finally got the antenna fixed.
Yeah. The dial up.
I never use that ever. So when people say dial up internet, I'm sorry, but that is after my time.
That's nothing you need to feel bad about, Mike.
Let's wrap up the Monday morning power play and get to our third period, where we've got plenty more to get to. Utah and Vegas tonight. We will see everybody at Delta Center, but first we will see you in period 3, and that's up next here on Mammoth Daily.
This is Mammoth Daily.
Thanks for staying with us here on Mammoth Daily. It's our third period, and also want to thank everybody who was at the Delta Center on Saturday night for that game against the Rangers. Hockey Fights Cancer. Adrian, it was a really cool night. We got to share stories of survivors and kind of reignite the legacies of those who have gone on before us. But it's always a powerful night. Our good friend Nick Olchek got surprised by his dad, Eddie O, on the broadcast live. That was a really cool moment as well. But always powerful stuff, and credit to everyone with the Utah Mammoth marketing team and game presentation team who put a ton of effort into making that night special.
Yeah, it was great, and we were able to tell stories throughout the evening, Mike, and that's what really made it. And the Huntsman Cancer Institute, the beneficiary, the Huntsman Cancer Foundation, one of the premier places in the entire world for cancer treatment and research right here in Salt Lake City. We were talking before the game with their CEO, and he told me that 17% of the footprint of the United States is serviced by the Huntsman Cancer Institute. So it was great to have Dr. Bradley Cairns with us on Hockey Night in Utah. They serve a lot of people throughout the Intermountain West, and it's the place is just elite in the way that patients are treated, with just the human kindness up there and the amount of research that they're doing. So honored to partner with them, and the jerseys the guys wore into the arena on Saturday night, the customized Hockey Fights Cancer jerseys, all the proceeds from those going to the Huntsman Cancer Foundation.
Yeah, thank you to Dr. Kantz for stopping by and for chatting with us on the pregame. And thank you to the Sorensen family and the Cunninghams as well for allowing us to tell Carson Sorensen's story. That was a powerful part of our pregame and part of our evening. Carson, a big fan, who was a big Liam O'Brien fan and is still cheering on the Mammoth. Utah and Vegas later tonight, round 2. AD, looking ahead to tonight, looking ahead to this week, what's still on your mind as we wrap up our show here?
First 5 minutes of the game, come out establish it. We liked the first 5 minutes against Vegas on Thursday. We liked the first period against the Golden Knights on Thursday. But just come out and play with that speed and that fire that Utah was able to get going on Saturday. And the key moment situations are going to be big, right? Vegas scored first 5 minutes, last 5 minutes, all 4 of their goals. They scored 2 quick ones, and they did the same thing to start the game against Anaheim on Saturday. First 5 minutes for 2, and 2 goals in quick succession on back-to-back shifts. So just come out and get going off the hop and protect those key momentum situations.
And feel free to stop by top of section 7. It's like near section 6, 7. That's the gate to come say hi to us. Remember to submit questions for the mailbag, and please do so soon. Our Tuesday mailbag, it fills up quickly, and the earlier you get it in, earlier you submit in the day, the earlier it is for us to include it in our rollout. We have a bunch left over from the last couple of weeks that we still want to get to at some point. We're getting to as many of them as we can, but please continue to comment. Please continue to hit us up on Twitter. He is at 801 Adrian Denny. I am at Mike_Fulta on Twitter and X. But yeah, AD, anything else to wrap up our Monday show and send the people on their way?
Yeah, just want to tell everybody a quick programming note. Thursday and Friday, Thanksgiving and Black Friday, we will not have a show. So today, tomorrow, and Wednesday for you folks. And also, we're getting close. So make sure if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you have the Utah Mammoth YouTube page handy, because our transition is coming very soon to that. We don't want to leave anybody behind. And thanks to everybody who's joined us on YouTube. And now we're moving to the team page, Utah Mammoth, for those of you that watch us. Of course, you can watch us on SEG Plus as well, and Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. Like and subscribe. Mike, want to apologize to the Spotify listeners for Friday, because you hear stuff going on in the cloud and internet outages and stuff like that. Mammoth Daily was affected by that. To give the folks a quick under the hood, we have a platform called Transistor that pushes our podcast out to Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, everywhere else. And once it pushes it out, it's out of our hands. And Spotify and Transistor were having cloud issues, internet outages, etc. on Friday. You might have heard about it on the news, but that affected us. So apologies to everybody who didn't get the episode till about 1:30 in the afternoon, but we saw the numbers. It looked like everybody got caught up either Friday afternoon or Saturday. We had a big download day on Spotify Day Saturday. So thanks to everybody for patience and staying with us. If it ever happens again, you can always catch us on YouTube, SEG Plus, Amazon Music, Apple if you have an iPhone. And so that's what happened on Friday with that. But there were a lot of texts, a lot of memos, a lot of emails trying to get us on Spotify, and it was just totally out of our hands.
Well, and like you said, we're always on the team page on YouTube as well. We are sellouts. We sold out to our employer. We are sellouts, but we are going to sell out for all of you tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights. Mammoth, Vegas, round 2 at the Delta Center. We'll see everybody downtown this evening. Drive safe and enjoy the game. God bless.